I'm also from Oakland, and then like I think sometimes just my rhythm sounds like a lot of rappers, even though I'm doing it with like a Lemmy voice. So I try not to be that Cookie Monster guy. You know what I mean? I try to make my voice very authentically like sing style. And if I throat it, I throat it properly. And I've been working on that for a while.
What's up, everybody? It's Keefy at ghostcultmag.com. Once again, thrilled to be joined by Matt and Jeff from High on Fire. How you doing, bros?
Good.
So good. So good to see you. Yeah, well, hopefully not sick in a good way, not like sick in a bad way. You guys got a tour coming up. I don't think you want to be sick at all. Can baby yourselves.
Oh, we've had enough of that shit.
Haven't we? So, right off the bat, man, congratulations on Cometh the Storm. I know, I know you guys don't feel pressure and Monarch doesn't put pressure, but maybe you put pressure on yourselves after like a wave of acclaim and success. I don't know what it's like to be even nominated for a Grammy, let alone win one. And I don't know how other bands take it or feel about it. I'm sure you guys just do what you do, but obviously this is a very anticipated record for 2024 you've got here.
Yeah.
But anywho, I don't think you guys put any pressure on yourselves to top the last couple, but this is an awesome record. And you should be thrilled that you have this coming out.
Thank you. Thanks, man.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, there's always a bit of pressure.
Songs.
It's all, you always want to, one up the last one that you did, So, but yeah, we're all super happy with how this one came out.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, we have the 800-pound gorilla behind the drum kit to talk about, Coady, right?
It sounds like it, right?
Oh my God.
His size, he hits like actual mountain gorilla. He's like so hard hitting and so accurate. What a great drummer.
And a great performer live, but you don't see drummers of his ilk anymore. As a huge fan of like death metal and black metal and technical forms of music, there's such an emphasis these days on precision and tight hitting that I think the power of drumming is kind of lost a little bit in heavy metal or rock. And I've always loved Coady in everything, but this is some sick, unbelievable. People are going to lose their shit when they see and hear this.
Yeah, I hope so. I would think. Yeah. He's the real deal, man.
Yeah. One of a kind.
And I know you have to pick somebody that you like and get along with because touring's hard anyway in the best conditions. So it's like you can't you can pick a great player, but they've got to match you guys personally. What was there anything obviously
we knew him before. We both of us have known Coady forever and have toured with him extensively. So, and we've been through earthquakes with him and fireballs and lightning and all sorts of stuff. And so we knew personality wise and how his drumming kind of works, but it took a minute to work out the kinks and just play. You know what I mean? We just had to get to know each other musically.
Anytime you change out a pivotal member in a band,
there's always a bit of an adjustment period there. But it became evident pretty early on that it was going to be a good fit, both personality wise and musically. Yeah,
we go way back
with Coady. He's amazing.
Right on. One of the things I love about the record right off the bat is there's you get a band you love and you get very familiar with their material and you listen to these jams over and over and you just enjoy them and you hear the new music and it's like, oh, I'm hearing stuff I never heard before. So I feel like there's a lot of flavor that was put into this record, like world music and chanting and like weird Arabic guitar key, solos and keys and stuff. I don't know if this is something you guys have been incorporating at home and then put it onto your record, or this is just like the songs called for it, but it's a breath of fresh air in some modern heavy metal sense, Yeah,
well, some of it's Jeff. Jeff has been doing, and particularly really focused in on his Turkish folk music studies with the saws and just Turkish folk music. And I think it goes well with like the weird blueprint, which High on Fire is based off of, and just adding things to our toolbox and messing around and then having a new drummer. I think it just all came together creatively with being able to like incorporate all these different interests, as far as music and how music can, make itself evolve.
It's breathtaking and needed, because like a lot of stuff can be very samey. I listen to hundreds of records a year, and we reviewed 606 records last year. I don't even really know how we did it, but we did it.
Wow.
We have a large staff of contributors, and I don't even write that many reviews myself anymore. I'm just busy doing shit, and it's great to like. It was like it's like what my favorite band doing my favorite stuff my favorite band does, but now there's new influences and new flavors and things. Like I said, they like these little bits make the songs like elevate so much higher.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, glad you dig it. Yeah.
The traditional Turkish influence, that's kind of been with me a little bit from the start. I started really getting into that stuff around the time I joined the band, but in the past few years, I started, studying formally with different teachers over in Istanbul, really kind of assimilating a lot of traditional folk tunes. So it's that influence has been around for a while. And, I've always heard that influence in, a lot of Matt's riffs, even on like the early albums, whether intentional or not. So it just seemed like it made a lot of sense to kind of try to marry those two elements.
I think the compositions on this are a little more dynamic, like ups and downs. It's not so just, we got our meat and potatoes and come out swinging, but there's a lot of flow to it that eases up the bashing. The bashing's always like way heavier if it's not consistently all the time. Sometimes.
Yeah, I feel like this album has
A lot of dynamics. There's a lot more kind of
parts where we reel it in a bit,
which just makes the heavy stuff that much more impactful.
And at the same time, I think, Jeff, you hit on something. There is kind of when it is just bashing, there's a very old school High on Fire early albums vibe to me on Burning Down and Lightning Beard and Tough Guy have like straight ahead parts that feel to me like the early stuff. Like just the same raw, the shit you love about High on Fire is still there. Don't get scared. Don't get scared, everybody.
Yeah, no. I tried to revisit some of the earlier stuff with at least the pieces of music that I was contributing to this album. I was kind of going through the old catalog, like what did I like then, and what were my favorite things about early High on Fire. Where I was going from a drone thing to more of a Celtic Frost kind of thing.
Yeah, that's the shit I love. And also, I was going to say, maybe between these other projects, you guys reissued one of the, remastered and reissued one of the older records. And Matt, you had the lyric project with the book. Maybe that revisiting, brought up some mana.
It definitely sparked a little bit of my memory, as opposed to like just creativity. It's like creativity and memory of like where it was and where this band has gone, and where it's going. That's always
and
good.
Also, having Coady in the mix, I think that definitely had a big influence on the direction of the sound that we were creating with the new songs. Since it's a largely collaborative process, just writing the music,
really dependent on
like throwing ideas out there and seeing how everybody else reacts to it. So, just the kind of stuff that,
we're throwing riffs at Coady, and just the way that he plays sort of brought out
that element, I think, and really.
Yeah, definitely. Coady is very well-rounded. He gets the stoner shuffle, and he gets the double bass like Motorhead thing, and he gets at times like the Slayer thing, and then at times I guess he gets the Turkish thing. I don't know.
Well, yeah, anybody who's, if you followed Big Business, fans out there who maybe they're not, they should be, but if they're not acquainted with his back catalog, please do. And not to mention his stuff with Melvins. He can do world music. This dude's gifted. He can play I feel like he probably could play jazz. He could play anything.
Oh, he kind of already is jazz and doesn't know it.
That is the most jazz thing.
It's been pretty remarkable
watching
his musical
progression over the years, when I met Coady back in 2000, he was in Murder City Devils. I was in Zeke. We did a lot of shows together. We toured Europe together for the first time. I knew he was a great drummer back then, but just like watching him flourish throughout the years, Big Business and then the Melvins, the guy's just become an absolute monster player.
Yeah. Dale Crover lessons.
Yeah.
I'm sure that I've even learned lessons from Dale Crover.
Yeah, Dale's nuts. If I got a really great interview with him a couple of years ago. If you know, no wonder he broke his body apart playing drums for 30, 40 years. Jesus. You know, Matt, you're a guy, I think lyrically, you always like to poke the bear of structures like religion and stuff, but there's a lot of like religious, either it's the titles or the like religious phrases in this album. I don't know if there's an underlying context for it, but like lamb's bread and cometh the storm feels very Shakespearean and biblical too. So I was wondering if there's a theme there.
Well, because like me having grown up in Christianity, and I kind of learned when I first, because I've always been like a creative writer, but I kind of learned how to write by the way the Bible was organized and by that old English language. I just think it sounds like, you know, kind of carnal and medieval. And you know, so I've always kind of used that sort of a platform. And then I take things that I find interesting, like everything from the Anunnaki to ancient, you know, Greece to Egypt, you know, Trismegistus, and that's Thoth. It means thrice great. And I get into the etymology of words and songs and metaphorically, esoterically, occultish kind of stuff. So all that falls into the same realm of how I take that metaphorically and apply it to like the world around me, myself. Like the whole album's like about rebuilding our band, how fucked the world is, how we talk about nuclear war like it's normal. It's the normalcy of nuclear war. That's just ridiculous to me. And I kind of wrap it all up as the song unfolds to me or to us, you know. It will unfold to the band, and then for me to have the job of the lyricist, I let it kind of. I use like the weird videotape in my head that the piece of music like guides me to, and then I'll pick a subject that I've been interested in, and some things sound one way or another to me, and it kind of pops. It writes itself. Like Trismegistus, I wrote that in like 10 minutes just because it was already sounded like that to me. And I already was like listening to the ancient emerald tablets of Thoth. And then I was like, okay, that's where we're going, you know? So I'm guided just like anybody else. I'm like just the messenger, actually, a lot of the times I feel.
The guitar player in my band used to say, the music plays you, you don't play the music. Shout out to my boy Fahad. But you know what's interesting? Yeah, for real. And I'm glad you said Trismegistus like 10 times, because I was like, how do you say this word? And I do feel like some of this stuff also has your best vocal work ever. I love Hunting Shadows, probably my favorite song on the whole record. And I love the vocal take, man. It's like some stuff I think you haven't really tried before, different keys, different range even. Lots of nice experimentation on the vocals here.
Thank you. I was really I'm glad someone noticed. You know, I really did kind of practice and hone in on my vocal skills. You know, guitar, I'm kind of I always try to improve that, but I'm so stylistic that I always sound like me. This one, I tried to do some more, like I liked what I did on King of Days a long time ago. I went to some of my older stuff and just kind of like, what was I doing that I liked about this? You know, it was the crooning. No one croons anymore unless, you know, like, so I was really messing around with crooning and messing around with like my range, you know, and I did that thing with Batzog on Steppen Doom, and he's a tubian throat singer, and I really liked what he was doing in that. So I'd walk around on before we recorded this album with that in my headphones, and I'd try to teach myself tubian throat singing. Like I'd try to sing along with the tracks that I'm on. Like I think Wino and Steve Von Till from Neurosis and a couple other people did all this stuff with different tubian throat singers. So I incorporated that, and the fact Jeff's into Middle Eastern music and the semitones that are on the saz instrument. I tried to make my voice do what they would do, you know? So I experimented a lot. I'll shut up now. I'm sorry.
That's I love that record, and we're big Mark Uselli fans here, so we did a big interview with him about that record and everything. So I love that record.
Yeah,
and
Mark's great.
That's a great one. I was just like I said, the power in drumming is kind of lost. Phrasing and vocals, You know, I know when everybody sings with a Cookie Monster voice or sounds like Oscar the Grouch popping out of a trash can and growling, but like phrasing is a thing. It's still important to get a point across vocally, and I feel like it's another lost art of vocals. Like even if you're not, like you said about crooning, even if you're not a classic singer and you're a metal guy, like I still think you can have, you know, pay attention to phrasing and dynamics as a vocalist. I think it's important.
Yeah. Well, I kind of do that, and I'm also from Oakland, and then like I think sometimes just my rhythm sounds like a lot of rappers, even though I'm doing it with like a Lemmy voice. So I try not to be that Cookie Monster guy. You know what I mean? I try to make my voice very authentically like sing style, and if I throat it, I throat it properly, and I've been working on that for a while. So thank you for the compliment.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And yeah, we all know, we all bow down to the altar of Lemmy. One more record recorded and made with Kurt Ballou at God City Studios in my former domicile of Salem, Massachusetts. He's kind of like the fourth member of the band now, right? Like I can't imagine a record without him or Billy Anderson. Like I think those are the two poles I think for this band, right?
Jeff, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, Kurt's just been consistently crushing it since we started working with him. You know, and I feel like each successive record he gets better and better at his craft. And you know, I think at this point he's just got it really dialed in to how we should sound on record. And yeah, we just basically give him full control. Let him take the reins with, you know, just getting the sounds. And man, it's I think this one is in my opinion the heaviest sounding High on Fire record so far.
I concur. I agree. I also think, like, again, as a veteran band that's had some success, do you feel like as you get older or farther along in your career, it's harder to maybe are you too close to the music to self-edit yourself, or do you do enough like writing and pre-production to be like, it's when you get to the studio to record, it's all set?
I leave leeway for myself to be creative, but I usually have all my ideas for everything. And then while we're recording it, you sit there and you repeat yourself so much that, or like while we're doing the music, like I like to leave myself some improv, you know, angles to it. Because sometimes the best stuff you do is a happy mistake, at least as far as I'm concerned about my personal contributions.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, I would say that the skeletons for the majority of the songs were already in place by the time we got into the studio. We did a few days of pre-production there, you know, before we got into the real nitty-gritty of the tracking. But yeah, you know, Kurt definitely contributed some really great ideas as far as song arrangement, and then, you know, adding additional touches like, you know, overdubs, just sort of other, you know, creative suggestions along the way. I think he's really stepped into his own as a producer these days. So yeah, his input was really valuable.
Kurt's amazing, and I think he's really got it nailed with his studio, with us. He's definitely sharpened his vast knowledge of how to do a record for sure, and he's an actual producer, whereas before we wouldn't let anybody really produce it, especially me. I'd get all bent, you know, dick about it, but now I like listen to everything he says and everything everybody has to say for the overall goodness of the record. You know, Kurt's the man. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I used to see those guys around town at like the coffee shop and the video store. So like 25 years later, they're some of the titans of music, which is amazing. I'm a huge Converge person also. Let's talk for a second about this incredible artwork. It's got a pirate ship floating on clouds. It's pretty on the nose for Cometh the Storm.
Yeah, Arik Roper. I've known him since I was like literally like 18 or 19 years old. So I've been, and Jeff's known him for quite a while. We've been working with him for a long time. And it just seemed proper because we're like part of this record was about us like just reinventing ourselves. And I thought, well, I brought it up or Jeff brought it up, but we both agreed on Arik Roper, and usually you just give him some lyrics and a recording of the demos and he goes to town. And I don't think anything changed. I think he did a really good, fucking amazing job. So
noted. As you guys get ready to take this show on the road, how much of the new material are we going to get to hear live on the first run?
It'll be a pretty good selection, I would say. It's with a catalog as large as ours, you kind of have to represent every album somewhat, which at this point, unless we were to do a 3-hour set, it's hard to give everything equal time. But yeah, we're definitely going to play a good selection of songs off the new album. But
we expect to hear some familiar favorites as well.
All right, word. I can't wait for that. Very, very pumped for that. And I always like to end these with a wild card question. I know last time, Matt, I stumped you a little bit, so I'm going to try to ask an easier one. I always pick out a specific one for everybody. Number one favorite tour bus music jam, each guy. Whether it's
tour bus music, like on a tour bus.
Yeah. What do you listen to between while your guys are riding from city to city?
Well, me and Jeff, you used to have a ritual about listening to Jethro Tull. Like that was kind of a daily occurrence or an evening occurrence every day. Like always got to get the stand up on. And funny enough, I just went and saw Jethro Tull play stand up in California with the old bassist George Rice. We're like brothers from another mother, so we never lost connection, even though he quit the band, a long time ago. And it was amazing. And I'd have to say Jethro Tull. What about you, Jeff?
Yeah, Jethro Tull, that's
a good one. Early Tull. See, what else is good? Rocky Erickson, and that's another fave.
Rocky Erickson.
Gotta have the wrong
album.
Socrates Drank the Conium.
It's a less known band. It's an old Greek kind of hard rock prog band.
Cool. Jeff turned me on to that. That's fucking good. It's so good.
Yeah.
What a weird style.
Yeah.
I will need to check that out. Do you mean Rocky Erickson just solo, or also the 13th Floor Elevator stuff?
I like the 13th Floor, but I like his solo stuff better.
Yeah, we listened to a lot of like the Evil One, and there's a particular live performance. I think Casting the Runes is what it's called, like with the explosives. That's a really great album. Recording.
All right, killer. Thank you for that answer. That was a lot easier than the last time, bros. Matt and Jeff of High on Fire, thanks so much for hanging out with Ghost Cult. Cometh the Storm is coming out from Monarch Heavy. Congratulations again on this record, and we'll see you guys on the road, and we'll do this again someday.
Cool, man.
Thanks a bunch, man.
Good job.
I'll see you, brother.